Thanks for coming in. Thanks for checking us out. It's great to see you guys. Welcome to the Premier Mindset by Premier Performance. I'm your host, Trem Mailer, LCSW, and this is episode 7. So LCSW, I like to just go over that real quick so people know if this is your first time tuning in. That means I'm a licensed clinical social worker, which pretty much means I'm a licensed clinical therapist. So if you want more information on that stuff, go to our episode 5 where we go a little bit more into the overview of who I am and what this is. There's a lot of information in our show notes every episode about just what we're going to talk about, what we're going over, little pieces that we get into, all that good stuff. We also have videos of the episodes on YouTube and Spotify. I'll share clips on social media, kind of wherever this stuff is at. Feel free to check it out. I'm putting this out there because some of these episodes are a little better with some visuals. Today's episode does have a little bit of visuals. You won't miss out too much if you don't watch the video, but if you do want to check that out, that is out there for you. Just a heads up. If you would like the episodes anywhere else, let me know. I'm totally okay putting these up wherever they may need to go. Right now they're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, so feel free to give it a listen wherever you feel fit. Please give us a review, like, follow, favorite, subscribe, remind, all these kind of things. I want to make sure you guys get the information every week when it comes out. It comes out every Sunday. And we're just going to keep putting it out every week and keep on building on what we've already done. With this stuff, we want to make sure to give it out to people that can get help from it. I hope this is helping you guys out. And if you have anybody in your life you think might gain something from it, please be sure to send it their way. I think they may enjoy it. I think they may get something from it. And that's kind of my goal. With that in mind, this is not a replacement for therapy or medical treatment if that is needed, if there is stuff going on. This is purely educational. I just want to kind of increase that awareness, give you guys some stuff, hopefully give you some things that you can work on and start using now. I make it a point to give you actionable tools to find success in your life, and it's not just random things I'm guessing on or throwing out the wall. It's all evidence-backed, it's all researched in various ways, and I want to make sure to give you guys things that work. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and it could be on any topic, any situation. It could be things you want me to cover more. It could be things you want clarification on. It could be just asking to work together in some way or another. So feel free to reach out. You can do that through my email, which is tmailer, last name spelled Mahler, at premierperformancereno.com. You can text or call me at 775-561-0056. We have the social media pages. We got the Instagram, Premier_Performance_Reno. We also have the Facebook and the LinkedIn page, Premier Performance LLC. So check us out, give us a follow, listen in. If there's anything else I can give you, please let me know. I'd love to get into it. Today we're going to get into emotions and another topic called Maslow's hierarchy. If you've heard of it before, I think you'll understand why they go together. If you haven't, that's totally fine. That's why we're going over it. To start, we're going to go into our little brain activity. This week's is called the Emotion Journal. So the goal of the Emotion Journal is to help us recognize what's going on. Recognition is the first step. If we don't realize we're feeling something, if we don't know something is happening, it's really hard to kind of build ourselves up and give ourselves what we need and just to hear out what our body's telling us. We're going to get deeper into emotions today, so I think this one's pretty reflective of that, and I think it's going to be a good way to get started on this journey if you guys are feeling a little disconnected from your emotions or just what you're feeling in general. So the way we do this is you want to write down your emotions you experience throughout the day. This could be like a journal you keep on hand and you just kind of add into. This could be something that you just kind of add to at the end of the day and just kind of reflect on the whole day as a whole. This could be something else. It's totally up to you. But we just want to kind of track these things. The hard thing with emotions is, they come and go. They're fickle. So we want to make sure to track them as they're coming in so we know what we're feeling. You can and don't understand what you're feeling unless you're in that moment. Like thinking back on a time when you're feeling an emotion and trying to imagine what it feels like, we're just not super good at doing. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that helps. Once we get that recognition piece of writing these things down, we then want to reflect on it. We want to reflect on the impact of it, how it felt, how it impacted you personally. Did it change how you were thinking? Did it change your mood? Did it change what you did for the day? How it controlled your behavior? What it ended up leading to? All these kind of things. If we don't realize what's happening and what our emotions are doing, it's really tough to try and manage them and get them in a place where they work a whole lot better. So be free to write these things down, journal about them. It's better to write them down than to just think about them. Even if we got to type them in our phone, it still works. But we want to really be mindful of what we're feeling and when we're feeling it, because often it's just our body communicating with us that we got some needs to take care of, and if we can take care of them, things kind of go a whole lot better in our life. So now let's jump into emotions themselves. If we think about it, emotions do a lot of different things. I think a lot of people don't think too deep about emotions. We just feel it, experience it, think about that, and then keep going. And sometimes we don't even really think about it. We just kind of ignore it or push it away, or we don't really want to fully engage with it. Some of the emotions are intense. Sometimes they don't feel good. Sometimes we don't like feeling some of these things. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, what our emotions really are is it's our body communicating with us. It's letting us know what's going on. And there's some simple ones that we're super good with because we're taught these things from literally day one, the second we're born. That's the stuff like hunger and thirst. When we're babies, it's real easy to get these things taken care of because our parents essentially take care of them. When we're crying, they give us a bottle or they breastfeed us or whatever it is. We feel better. We get what we need. Maybe we need a nap. We get the nap. We feel better. Kind of taking care of those needs. And that's the thing with this stuff. They're just needs. So once we recognize the need and we take care of it, then everything else tends to feel better. So if you are feeling hungry, you eat, you typically aren't feeling hungry anymore. And this is the same thing with everything else. We just don't really have the chance to explore that or get taught that growing up and going through our life because, there's a lot of other people that struggle with emotions themselves. So it's kind of hard to teach these things. This awareness of what's happening really helps us feel better, and it helps us go through our life in a lot of different ways. And if we don't listen to them, they tend to get more intense. They tend to get louder. So actually listening to these things from the beginning can probably help in the long run, because if we take care of it when it's small, it doesn't build up on us and create a whole lot of more problems. So we want to keep that in mind. It's kind of like twisting an ankle. You can ignore it and just try and push through it, but at some point it's really going to beat you up. It's really going to cause problems, and you're not going to be able to walk on that ankle anymore. It gets louder if it's not being heard. We do that as people. If you're talking and someone's not hearing you, you naturally get louder. So same thing with our emotions. If you're not listening to them, if you're not understanding what your body's trying to tell you, they will get louder. So start trying to get in tune with what it's talking to you about, what it's trying to explain to you, and it will help in a lot of ways. There's a lot of studies on emotions in general. There's previous studies in psychology that have shown the ability to change emotions quickly is beneficial for mental health. Conversely, people who are unable to regulate their emotions and remain in the same emotional state for a long time are at higher risks of depression. Our aim in this study was to determine what cerebral trace remains after the viewing of emotional scenes in order to evaluate the brain's reaction and, above all, its recovery mechanisms. In this study, they focused on older adults in order to identify possible differences between normal and pathological aging. This was the professor of Department of Basic Neurosciences that was a part of this study. And what they're really looking for is our ability to kind of sit in emotional, reactions, to kind of feel these things out and to kind of pull ourselves out of it or kind of getting stuck in it, and just what it does to our aging process. They have found that poor emotional regulation and anxiety increase the risk of dementia, but they're also not sure if it's from that or if it's the other way around. They're not sure if it's the chicken or the egg or the chicken kind of idea. So their hypothesis is more anxious people would have no or less capacity for emotional distancing. The mechanism of emotional inertia in the context of aging would then be explained by the fact that the brain of these people remain frozen in a negative state by relating the suffering of others to their own emotional memories. So essentially that's saying that we're getting stuck in these really negative mindsets, whether it's sadness, anxiety, depression, any of these things. And when we're stuck in that, in that state of like almost threat, it breaks us down and starts creating problems, and we don't tend to handle things as well. We want to kind of be like a rubber band where we can snap back and snap out of things. We don't want to get stuck in spots. Eventually that elasticity goes away, and that creates a lot more problems, and this helps us, prevent pathological aging in some ways too. So not only is this stuff helpful for just going through your everyday life, it also is helpful for our ability to age and just different diseases that end up coming on, such as dementia. So jumping into this stuff and using some techniques or tools to kind of help yourself with the emotional roller coaster we go on throughout our life can really help in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to go over a couple things we can do, and we'll go into more stuff with emotion regulation in the future. But with this, I want you guys to really just understand the importance of doing these things. That's why I try and cover some of these studies for you guys. And if you want more of the studies specifically, let me know. I can always throw those in the show notes too. The idea, though, is we want to be able to get out of these negative states. We don't want to get stuck in them. And sometimes it's very easy to get stuck in them, and then we even feel guilty trying to pull ourselves out of them. So just keep that in mind, and we'll do what we can as we can move through these things and try and understand what our body's trying to tell us. Another study was going into the idea of happiness and how it works and how to kind of create happiness for ourselves and keep it going, keep that longer lasting movement just moving forward. We can learn to be happy, but the main thing they found is we only get lasting benefits if we keep practicing. There's a latest study that found that well-being boosts are short-lived unless the evidence-informed habits learned on the course, such as gratitude, we've talked about, exercise, we've talked about, meditation and journaling, we've talked about that, are kept up on the long term. It's like going to the gym. We can't expect to do one class and be fit forever. Just as with physical health, with our mental health, we have to continually work on it, otherwise the improvements are temporary. So we can do some great stuff, we can get ourselves up, get ourselves out of these deep holes that feel really bad, and that's awesome, but if we don't keep doing the work, eventually it ends. Eventually it doesn't keep going. Eventually we lose those improvements. Just like if we go to the gym for a month and everything's going really well, we start to see results, it's awesome, it feels good, it's motivating, but then we stop. That's going to go back as well, that's going to regress. Much of what we teach revolves around positive psychology interventions that divert your attention away from yourself by helping others, being with friends, gratitude, or meditating. Kind of going back to just getting out of our own head and not getting stuck in these things. If we get too stuck on just the struggles and what we're feeling and what we're experiencing, sometimes it just eats us up and we never find a way out of it. So we want to use these things because they work. They're all evidence-based. They're all research. They all work very well. We just got to do them, and we got to do them consistently. And this is really what this study is highlighting, is that if we don't do these things consistently, we're going to fall back to the old ways. We're going to go back to the old habits. We're going to go back to the old struggles. So we have to build up the new things, build up the new habits, and we have to keep going with them. Another thing that this is really showing and pointing at is that getting out of our own head really helps us get away from these negative ruminations. Some of you may have heard of ruminations before, some of you may not have. Ruminations are really just getting stuck on thinking about things that are stressful or threatening or not fun, whatever it is. We're ruminating, we're just stuck on it. So with that, we want to get out of that. That's where distraction comes in, gratitude journaling, meditating, being with friends, exercise, all this kind of stuff to get out of that. If we get stuck in it and just think about struggles all day long, no matter who you are, it's going to beat you up. The mind can make a heaven or a hell out of anything. It's all about how we're looking at things and what we're doing with it. So we want to get out of that, and there's a lot of ideas that this rumination can be the basis of a lot of mental health problems. And it's not so much like we got to ignore our problems and not think about them. We just got to do it for a certain amount of time, and then we got to stop. Just like going to the gym. You want to go to the gym, get a good workout in, but you don't want to work out 23 hours a day. It's not going to work out well for you. So this is the same thing. We can't get stuck in it where we're thinking about it all day long. We got to turn it off. It's okay to sit at it from time to time and try and work on it, figure things out, but we got to pull ourselves back out of it. If you just get stuck on it, it's just going to beat you up. It goes back to that cortisol release that we talked about in that first episode and how that starts to grind us down. So we want to get away from that, and we want to get back to these feel-good things when we can. And that's where it's good to keep in mind just what works for you. We want to fill up this toolbox with things that you like, so keep in mind the ones that are working. Keep those tools that do work really well for you, and we're just going to keep adding to them. Experiencing emotions with acceptance is more useful than just judging how we feel. Acceptance is a big part of a lot of this work, because when we're finding acceptance, we're finding that we're accepting reality. We're not resisting it, and that resistance of reality ends up leading to more stress and problems a lot of the time. Judging how happy we are often backfires, and it can negatively impact life satisfaction and psychological well-being. And that happens for a lot of reasons. First being, comparison's the thief of joy. If we compare ourselves to other people and what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, what we should feel, all that in between, it just eats us up. It starts causing problems. So we want to be able to accept wherever we're at, whatever those emotions we are experiencing. So if we're feeling anger, we may not like it, we may not be okay with it, but we want to try and accept it, because that anger is there for a reason. If we can accept feeling that anger, then we can start to get to work with what it's trying to tell us and try and take care of that need to get away from it, instead of trying to ignore it or suppress it, because that typically comes back in a way where it causes more problems. So keep that in mind. Don't try and judge where you are. Try and get away from that thought process of why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, what this might mean, and all that stuff. We really want to focus on just what am I feeling, and then going from there to try and figure out what we need. Another study showed that after being insulted, writing down on your feelings on paper and then getting rid of it, like crumpling it up in a ball, lighting it on fire, whatever you want to do, actually helps reduce the anger. This goes back to that emotional journal as well. Writing things down does help. It does. It just gives our brain a different way to kind of have an outlet and get these things out, and it doesn't build up on us the same. So if you are angry about something, write it down, get rid of that paper however you want, and see what that does with that anger. Maybe it does nothing. Maybe it makes you more angry. Maybe it actually helps. Maybe it reduces it and you feel some stress come off your back. But play around with these things. See how it works for you. Try that out and see where that goes. That is, again, backed by research. So now we're going to get into more about emotions. So I have a handout I'm going to put out on social media that's about kind of understanding what emotions are telling us and what needs we have when these things do pop up. This handout is really helpful. It's kind of like a compass to figure out what we need, what's going on, and how to help ourselves forward. So I'll post that up on all the social media sites. If you need it from anywhere else, or if you're having any issues accessing it, just let me know so I can put it somewhere that works out better. But this is going to be something we want to practice with for a while. The way it works is we have the emotion on one side. We have the middle that explains the feelings that come along with it so we understand what emotions we're feeling. And then we got the needs on the following column that tell us what needs we need to feel better. If we get those things, we feel better. Just like if we're hungry, we eat some food, we feel better, that goes away. So that's our whole goal here. I'm going to put that up for you guys, and I want you guys to reference that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through this stuff on the whiteboard. So if you can't see it because you're listening to it, no worries. I'm going to talk it all through too. You're not missing out on too much. And I will also post the whiteboard on the social media so you guys get a view of it and its finality so you know what everything is on there. If you want to watch the video of this to get a better idea of what I'm talking about in the moment, that's totally fine too. Those are all out there. Just switch over to Spotify or YouTube and give that a shot. So on the whiteboard behind me, we got a lot of different stuff on there. And the reason for that is I really want to make it clear why we got to pull these things apart and understand the different emotions we're feeling, because we often get stuck in dealing with things in just a couple ways and we only focus on a few emotions. So on the board, I have a giant circle with really 4 main emotions in the middle: happy, angry, sad, and anxiety. These are typically the emotions most people focus on, most people talk about. So that's why I like to start there, because I want to put that up there and kind of make a point as to why thinking through things in this way kind of limits us and we miss out on some things that could be causing problems for us. There's a lot of different things we can feel. For example, on sadness, we could feel betrayed. We could also feel left out. 2 different things, but they both deal with sadness. So we want to understand what's going on first. That's always the first step. Recognition is the first step. Once we know what's happening and what caused this thing, then we can get to work. We don't need to know what caused it to get to work, but it's helpful because if we run into it again, then we know exactly what it is. We're already ready to go. We've already handled it. So with this, if I feel betrayed, maybe I feel betrayed because I have like a friend talking behind my back. That might cause some issues for me. That might cause some problems. It might really bother me. If I want to feel better from that, I have some needs that I need to get taken care of. And if I get that, things end up working out a whole lot better. So with this situation, if I feel betrayed, the things I need would be trust, honesty, clarity, and commitment. If I get those things, I end up feeling better. So maybe in this situation, my friend was talking behind my back and I get some honesty of just like what's happening. Maybe they explained they didn't mean to and it totally slipped out at the wrong time and they're just trying to cover their tracks. Maybe they give us some commitment and explain that it's never going to happen again. I'm aware of what I did and I'm so sorry I did that and I'm not going to do that. Maybe we just get some trust and that we just start talking to other people and start sharing these things with other people because we realized that this person isn't somebody we can trust the way we thought we could. We get those needs, we end up feeling better. And it doesn't mean that we just feel great again and everything's amazing. It gets us back to neutral, gets us back to baseline. Just like if we're hungry and we eat a good meal, feels good, maybe it gets us back to just feeling kind of okay again. So with that, it kind of takes care of that. We understand where it's coming from, that friend talking behind our back. We get those needs met, we get ourselves feeling better. Another situation, like I was talking about, is feeling left out. Also deals with sadness. But that's a little different. Maybe we got some friends going out to do something and they don't invite us. It kind of hurts our feelings. It kind of bothers us. So we have different needs on this one. What we need on this one would be inclusion, belonging, connection, community. If we get those things, we end up feeling better. So in this situation, maybe we let those friends know that we're kind of hurt and it really bothered us, and it would have been nice if we were included. And maybe they let us know that they thought they included us. Maybe they thought we were in the group chat. Maybe they thought they threw the invite our way, or they mentioned it, and maybe they did it in a little bit of an indirect way. But maybe they thought they were doing it. Maybe we get that understanding, and then they reiterate like, yeah, please join us. We want you here too. And now I feel better. It's like, okay, they do want me here. This is just kind of a miscommunication, something that went wrong. Maybe it's just kind of hanging out with different people. Maybe it's getting that inclusion from reaching out to another friend and saying, let's go hang out and go do something, feeling better that way. Maybe we get just a different community, going and hanging out with a group or a team, or just in an area where it feels like we got similar interests and similar hobbies, and we feel like we just kind of belong a little bit more. It can help out. And it's not so much feeling that we're going to just fix the situation altogether. Sometimes we can't fix the situation, but it's taking care of the needs we have in that moment to help ourselves feel better. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can kind of get creative with it, but it kind of gives you that roadmap of just what needs are popping out and what do we need to focus on, because we do get stuck on these things sometimes, and we do got to help ourselves through them. The big issue with this is if we always deal with sadness the same way, which a lot of people do. Maybe they always deal with sadness through, belonging, connection, all that good stuff. The stuff you may need if you're feeling left out. That may be awesome, especially if you're feeling left out most of the time. But if on this situation you're feeling betrayed because something else happened, and you try and use all the stuff that would help if you're feeling left out, it's not going to actually help too much. It's going to feel good because that stuff always feels good, but it's not our need. Just like you could drink some water when you're feeling hungry and it might help out a little bit, but it's not going to actually take care of the need, which is you need food. So with this, I like to bring this up and really highlight this, because we get caught on trying to deal with things the same way all the time, and then we might lose faith in certain things that were working. Because if you are feeling left out 90% of the time, it is going to work. But if this one time you feel betrayed and you try this out and it doesn't work, and then you lose faith in it and stop trying it, well, now you're going to miss out on a lot of things that could be getting being taken care of in beneficial ways, because you're giving up on tools that were working just because we use it at the wrong time this time. So we got to be aware of what we're feeling, what's going on, so we can take care of it and give ourselves what we need. If we miss out on that, we're not going to take care of those needs, and it's going to get worse, it's going to get louder, it's going to cause more problems. This is the same thing with anxiety. How often have you guys out there heard people talk about having anxiety? It happens all the time. But what does that mean? I mean, there's a lot of different anxieties out there. There's phobias. Maybe someone just saw a spider and it's freaking them out. Maybe they have a test next week they're worried about, and that's what they're anxious about. Maybe they just got into a conflict with their partner and they're worried about talking it through. There's a lot of different things we can be anxious about. And if we don't, kind of specify where that anxiety is coming from, it's going to be really hard to manage it as well. So we got to understand, where is it coming from? What is causing this? And if we don't understand what's causing it, it's going to be kind of hard, and we might accidentally make it worse again. So in this situation, I put up on the board social anxiety and anticipatory anxiety. Two different kinds of anxieties, but both anxieties, they just deal with different things. So the social anxiety would be nervous about being around other people, being worried about judgment, being worried about what people were thinking, just worried about the overstimulation, all that kind of stuff. Maybe like going to the mall. Anticipatory would be worried about something coming in the future. Maybe it's anxiety about a test or a presentation or a big talk you have to do, or some confrontation you have to do with a coworker at work, whatever it is. This is the kind of stuff that starts to pop up. And we're going to deal with both of them in similar ways, but also in different ways. So one of the things that we can do for both of those is kind of prepare. Get ready for what's coming, kind of set ourselves up, maybe get some support, get somebody to help us study for the test we got coming next week, or get somebody to go with us to the mall to make it feel a little better, whatever we might need. But the thing is, there is some differences here too. If I'm at the mall and I have social anxiety, something that could help me is kind of focusing on distractions, looking at all the stuff in the store, maybe putting on some headphones, maybe getting lost in my phone, maybe just looking around and counting the tiles around me as I walk. Right? There's a lot of things that we could focus on and kind of get that focus off of all those people. If I have anticipatory anxiety, I'm worried about a test next week, I'm totally prepared for it, there's nothing else to do, something that could help me is staying in the present, focusing on exactly what I'm doing right now and not getting caught up in something that's going to happen next week. The hard thing is, if we do that for the social anxiety, it could make it worse. If I tell myself to stay in the present, focus on everyone around me and what they're thinking about and what they're doing, that's going to skyrocket my social anxiety. So we want to be aware of what we're dealing with and what's going on, because we could accidentally make it worse. If we don't realize there's a phobia like, arachnophobia, we're scared of spiders, and we don't realize that's what's getting triggered right here. Well, if I try and go distract to feel better and I go and watch a movie that happens to have a spider in it, well, that's going to freak me out as well. That's going to make it worse. So again, we got to figure out what is causing the anxiety, what is going on, because then we can manage it. Then we can do things with it. If we don't know what's happening, we can't do anything about it. Recognition is the first step. I know I keep harping on it, but it's because it's such a key point of all of these things. And the hardest part sometimes is just admitting to ourselves the recognition. Because sometimes we kind of see it, but we don't want to fully accept it. We don't want to fully admit it. So try and get yourself to look at these things and accept them for what they are. They're not bad. They're just what they are. The other side of all this is that emotions aren't good or bad. They're just things. We love to highlight and focus on certain emotions as good or bad. One of the ones we like to talk about as being bad is anger. And it's not really bad, it's just another tool like anything else, like a hammer. A hammer could be good, a hammer could be bad. It's all about how you use it. If I get angry, I could do some things, I can get some stuff done. But if I get angry and just break a window just to break a window, well, I can cause some problems too. So there are some things that can go well. One of the things that I like to focus on with anger that can be a good thing is motivation. How many of you out there have gone out of your way to go do something to prove somebody wrong? Just kind of doing it to spite them, right? That's anger. That's a motivating factor, and that does get us moving sometimes. It can get some really good things done. The other side of it is protection. If you have somebody you care about or love getting attacked by somebody, often we'll get angry and run over there and do what we got to do. So it can help protect people too, keep some people safe. Because really what anger is doing is it's letting us know about our boundaries. It's saying, hey, don't cross this line. Don't talk to me that way. Don't touch me like that. Don't do that thing to that person, whatever it is. That anger just shows up when something is getting crossed, whether it's a value, it's a boundary, it's an issue. It also does other things too. It's easier to be angry than it is to be sad, so it covers that up sometimes. But often it's reflecting back on the idea that a boundary is being crossed. So if you are getting angry, it's worth looking at just like what happened right now and what is bringing this up, because there might be something going on that I can manage in a different way, or maybe I got to hold a boundary in a different way to make sure this doesn't get crossed again. Sadness can also be a good thing. The best one I like to focus on is grief. And I know grief doesn't feel good. It doesn't. But what sadness is in general is it's letting us know that we're missing something that we used to have or that we wish we had. So the only reason we'd feel grief in the first place is if somebody was important to us. So it's kind of like a highlighter, letting us know who was important to us or what was important to us and how impactful it was in our life. And that can be really powerful. That can be a really strong thing to get stuck on and really help us move forward with. We sometimes look at this stuff as negative, but I want to keep you guys a little more neutral with it best we can, to not get stuck on the idea that it has to be bad or good, because it doesn't. It's about what we do with it when it's there. Our body's just trying to communicate with us. It's just letting us know something. And we want to try and accept it. And this is kind of going back to that acceptance piece we were talking about, that if I'm feeling that grief, sometimes I just got to feel this, and I'm feeling it for a reason. I don't need to ignore it. I don't need to run from it. I don't need to be upset about it. I just need to feel it. And then we don't want to get stuck in it, just like anything. We don't want to get stuck in things constantly. We want to pull ourselves back out of it and do other things too. The rumination isn't going to help. So feel the emotions, don't run from the emotions, and understand what they're telling you and get to work when it is telling you what you need. Because if we don't take care of those needs when this stuff pops up, it tends to lead to more problems. It tends to lead to more issues. And I don't want you guys to deal with that. Life is hard enough. We want to make things simpler, not harder. So if we don't take care of things, say I feel betrayed, friends talking behind my back and I don't go and take care of it. What happens is it starts off as that sadness. It kind of gets in our head. It kind of brings us down. It kind of starts causing some problems. But then eventually it turns into something else. It turns into that anger. It turns into that, how dare they? How dare they do this thing to me? And that anger then leads into other things. And we start to see this tower start to create. Right? So after we get that anger, we typically lash out. Maybe we do something. Maybe we say something. Maybe we just throw that anger back at them. But now after that, we're going to get some anxiety. Maybe now we're worried about what the other person may do back. If they're going to get revenge. If they're going to do something and, throw something back at us. If they're just going to ignore us. If the friendship just got damaged. Whatever it is. then we're going to stress about that because that's a lot of stuff to think about. We're sitting there overthinking on it all, getting stuck on it all, and it just kind of grinds us down, creates more problems, more of that rumination. And then that stress can kind of keep on going on, and maybe it leads to like isolation. Maybe we avoid certain situations. Maybe we avoid hanging out with certain people. Whatever it might be. It just starts causing more and more problems for us. We just kind of get to that isolation. It kind of breaks us down, and it keeps going. And we could keep going with it. I just ran out of room on the board. But the idea is, if we don't take care of these things, it starts to mix and turn into a whole lot of other stuff, and then it gets way more complicated. Because now I'm not dealing with one or two things. Now I'm dealing with 10 things. And you can't deal with them all at once. You got to deal with each one by itself. So it's a lot more work because each piece has their own set of needs. So we want to try and help ourselves catch these things when they're small and just do one thing at a time and not 10 things, because it's just way more work and it's way more exhausting and it's way more confusing, because now we're feeling a lot of things. We don't know what is telling us to do what, and we just get lost in it sometimes. And it's real easy to start running from this stuff and start isolating on our own because we just don't want to feel it because we don't know what it's even telling us. So keep that in mind and try and jump on these things one thing at a time. Really use that handout I'm going to put out there for you guys, because it's going to really be a compass. It's going to help you guys navigate this and understand what your body's telling you. And the more you look at this, the more you get control over yourself and your life. And it's going to help in a lot of ways. It's going to help in a lot of ways you can't even imagine right now. The other side of it is your brain's going to slowly learn how to do these things the more you're looking at these sheets. So we're doing this now, kind of building up that muscle memory, so eventually our brain can do it totally on its own and it doesn't need us to direct it. And once we do get back to baseline, once we do get back to neutral, taking care of these needs, we can get to the other side of this stuff, like the happy stuff. There's two sides of happiness. There's a whole lot more in there, but in this one we're going to talk about two sides. We got relaxed, maybe we're watching a movie, just feel really relaxed and enjoying ourselves. We also got accomplished, where maybe we just got something done, we feel proud of ourselves. They both deal with happiness, they both feel good, but they're also two different things. So if I'm feeling left out, maybe some friends went out without me, I go and hang out with some other friends, that feels better, takes care of things, I get that inclusion, that belonging again, get those needs taken care of, so I'm back neutral. Maybe now I really want to feel relaxed, so I go home and I go watch a movie and just enjoy myself and, kind of find myself comfortable on that couch. Everything starts to feel kind of good. I'm in a spot where I feel relaxed now. We could even do the same thing with, feeling accomplished and just getting a project done at home, and now we're feeling proud of ourselves, feeling accomplished, feeling like we got some good stuff done, and that can feel really good and uplifting too. So it can help in a lot of ways, and it's not just like how do I get these things gone, it's also how do I get myself feeling what I want to feel. And this is how we create emotional control, and as you guys know, there's not very many people that have it. So it's kind of like a superpower. So if we can build this up and really start to understand what our body's telling us and help ourselves through it, it's going to really help in a lot of different ways. And I think you might be amazed at what you can do and how this stuff can really work for you and not against you. We just don't really get the insight into what these things are and how to work with them. And that's why I want to give it to you guys. Again, the number one thing I hear is how much people wish these things were taught in school. And that's kind of my motivation to do this stuff, is just put it out there so you guys get this information, because I think it's going to be super helpful for everybody. Really, the main part of it is we just got to listen to our body. It's talking to us all the time. It's letting us know what's going on. It's really great at picking up information, both internally and externally. So let's listen to it. Let's hear what it's got to say to us. It's like not listening to a scout when we're on our way on some adventure and trying to figure out where we're going to go next. Let's listen to who's scouting ahead and letting us know what's going on and what's happening, and trust our gut when we're feeling something. Let's deal with it. Let's see what it's telling us. If you don't deal with it, if you don't jump on it, it's going to get louder. It's going to get harder to deal with. And if it gets more intense, other things get wrapped up in it. And I don't want you guys dealing with more problems. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep things easy. Let's keep it smooth. Do what you can with that. And if you have more questions, let me know. We'll get deeper into all these things in the future, especially with like some more examples. But, that's kind of emotions in a nutshell. So the next thing we're going to jump into is called Maslow's hierarchy. And this kind of goes a little well with the situation, because there's times we beat ourselves up for just where we're at, but I don't think we always give ourselves the grace to understand that this is where I am and that makes sense and I just can't get there right now. Just like if you're coming back from an injury, certain things in the gym just aren't going to work out the same way right off the bat. And that's not a bad thing, that's just where we are right now. So we want to keep these things in mind. What this is it's a psychological concept that was created by somebody called Maslow. And he created this hierarchy explaining that we have to take care of the bottom rungs of the pyramid before we get to the top rungs. And I'm going to go through a little bit of what those pieces are, and I'll also put this on social media so you guys can see it if you guys want to look at it and like have the visual of it. But you got to hit those bottom rungs to get up on the ladder. You can't just go up and go above certain ones if you're not there yet. And this helps us understand why certain people can't get to certain things. Because we do struggle sometimes with understanding where people are at, and we just tell them to get over it, lift themselves up by their bootstraps kind of thing. And sometimes people do need to push through certain things. Nothing works all the time, nothing works never of the time. But at the same time, sometimes we just got to understand where we're at and the level of what we need to take care of first. So the first aspect of the hierarchy is the physiological needs. These are the most basic needs for survival, like food, water, shelter, sleeping, breathing. This is the idea that if you're homeless and you have no idea where you're going to sleep tonight, how are you going to hold the job down? How are you going to take care of your mental health and make sure you're on your medication or whatever you might need? Right? If we have no idea how to take care of these physiological needs, it's really hard to focus on anything else. So we got to take care of those things first. Once those things are taken care of, we can start going to the next levels and start figuring things out from there. But we need those basic needs taken care of first. Otherwise, we're in that survival mode and everything goes out the window. We're just reacting. We're doing the best we can to just get through life and survive. The next rung after that is safety needs. Once those physiological needs are met, individuals seek safety and security. That includes financial security, health, and protection from harm. So that could be taking care of our body, taking care of our finances or budgeting. That could be creating security within, just the shelter we do have, the relationships we have, all this kind of stuff. And just kind of trying to protect ourselves from harm, the way we're driving, all this kind of stuff, making sure we're doing doctor's appointments, just taking care of the body and taking care of our own, individual need for safety and security. After we take care of that one, we get to the love and belonging needs part. This level involves the need for social connection, intimacy, and belonging. This includes friendships, family, and romantic relationships. We're social animals at the core of us. That's who we are. We can't do things alone. We can't do things totally in isolation. It leads to more problems. So this will help us deal with a lot of different things, but we need to build up those relationships. And if we are having issues on the physiological or the safety side, it's really hard to focus on the friendships, the family, the romantic relationships. Sometimes it starts to fall off. We start to prioritize other things because we're trying to take care of that safety and security, which is often where people get caught up with this piece. And then we just start to lose sight of the relationships and realize how impactful that can be to us later. After we take care of the love and belonging, we get to the esteem needs. At this level, individuals seek respect, recognition, and a sense of accomplishment, both from themselves and from others. So kind of feeling proud of what we're doing. Being told that we're doing a good job. You're kind of looking to build yourself up and build up that self-esteem, that self-confidence, feeling like you can handle things, feeling like you're doing good stuff, and that you can keep moving with all these things in positive directions too. After that, we get to the top, the pinnacle, which is actualization. This is the highest level. This is where individuals strive to achieve their full potential and live a meaningful life pursuing their passions and interests. Going back to episode 5 where we talked about Ikigai, that can be a great way to start to find those passions and interests and that potential and where we're going, that meaning in life. But we're not going to get here until we do these other ones. And there's going to be times we're at the self-actualization and then we fall back down to maybe esteem or love and belonging or maybe even safety needs. So it's not something that you're just climbing and once you're at a certain point you can't go backwards. We can kind of bounce up and down that hierarchy all the time. But the main idea is if we're at a certain point, we can't go above that until we're there. Once we're there, we can do all that stuff. If we're at the toppest level, that self-actualization, that's where everything is going really well and things are going pretty awesome in our life and we're just feeling really good and it feels like you're just on fire. This is my goal with the Premier Mindset is we're trying to create that self-actualization all the time. We're trying to optimize performance. That's what we do with Premier Performance. We're trying to help people reach their full potential and live a life that feels completely full of what they want it to be. Life is too short and too hard to miss out on these things. And I want to help you guys get there because we can get there. All this stuff is backed by research. It's all backed by different tools and evidence and I'm going to keep sharing these things with you guys to help you get there. But I can only work as hard as you guys work. I can give you guys all the information and tell you all the things to do, but if you don't actually put it into effect and start doing it, it's not going to really go anywhere. So keep that in mind and try and own some of these things and see where they take you. You might be surprised at how far it can go because it really can go pretty far. We want to also check in with ourselves. Checking in with ourselves in terms of where we are with that hierarchy, in terms of where we are with the emotion chart, with all this stuff. If we don't know where we're at, we don't know where things are, it's very easy for things to slip. And this happens all the time. When things are extra good or extra bad, this tends to be the time people let things slip the most. Some of my clients think I can just read their mind or something like that because I'll bring these things up when they're having a specifically tough time or a good time, and they just think I magically know these things. But in reality, it's just about patterns. This stuff happens all the time. It's really easy to let go of the things that's helping us when things are good. Because when things are good, we don't think about it. We don't think about taking care of our bodies or our mental health the same way. We just kind of let ourselves coast, kind of take our foot off the gas a little bit. Sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we need a break, but we got to get back to it. Going back to that study that we talked about earlier, we have to stay consistent. If you stop doing these things, you'll start losing these things. It just becomes temporary. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. The more you do it, the more it stays there. So make sure to keep these things up, even if you're feeling really good and everything feels like you can't miss and everything's just perfect. That's a good time to keep doing it. We don't want to lose that. Let's keep that momentum moving forward. If things are extra tough, extra bad, we tend to sacrifice it as well. And that's the time we could use it the most. But the reason for doing that is typically we're just feeling overwhelmed and there's not enough time in the day. So we try and sacrifice things to try and make more time. The hard part is it doesn't actually really make more time because now our work is getting worse. We're not as effective. Things aren't going as well. We're not managing situations as well. We get stuck on things longer, all this kind of stuff. So it creates more problems, and we want to actually make time for these things to build us up so that when we are struggling, we can feel better and we can do what we need to do to get through it all. We need the armor to handle it. Getting rid of our armor to move faster isn't going to help out. It's just going to make us super vulnerable and we can get really hurt. So try and build these things up and try not to lose these things. We want to continuously work on our mental health. Otherwise, these improvements are just temporary. And I don't want you guys getting that temporary benefit and then losing out on it again and feeling like it's just sand in your hand falling through your fingers. I want you guys feeling like you have a good grip on it and you feel like you have a good understanding of it. So make sure when you're building these things up, you just keep going with it all. You keep staying consistent. Consistency is key with a lot of things in life in general, and this is no different here too. So keep going with it all and do what you can. I want you guys all to try and pay attention to those emotions best you can throughout your life, and that's every day. Because often your body's trying to tell us things. And the more you can pay attention to this stuff, the more you can increase your ability to be aware of what it's telling you about. And that's going to help you take care of yourself and create happiness for yourself in a way that others just can't. So try and explore this. Try and understand who you are, what you need, what your body's trying to explain to you, what it's trying to communicate to you. And it's going to help you in your life in a lot of different ways. It's going to give you control. And it's going to take those chains off of us. It's going to stop us from being held back from these things, and it's going to help us move forward. Because these things aren't bad, they're not negative. It's just we don't really understand them, so they feel intense and scary. The more we get a hold of them, the more we rein them in, the more we can control them and get them to go where we want them to go instead of letting them pull us where they want us to go. So take that control back. Practice with these emotions and being aware of what you're feeling and when you're feeling it. And just keep in mind that Maslow's piece of just what we can handle and when we can handle it, because it's going to be different from time to time. Recognition is the first step. It always will be the first step. And I know I talk about it a lot, but I really want to hammer it in. So keep in mind trying to recognize these things, recognizing what works, what doesn't work, what you like, what you don't like, and everything in between. It's going to just help you. Feel free to share this episode with whoever could benefit from it. There's a lot of people out there that, are just kind of disconnected from their emotions in general, feeling a lot of numbness, a lot of nothing, a lot of disassociation, and that can create a lot of problems. So maybe send this their way if you think that might be helpful. Again, I'm just trying to get this stuff out there best I can. And I think a lot of people could benefit from it. Maybe not from every single piece of it, but there's probably something in here for everybody. So try and put that stuff out there. And, also feel free to leave a review. That helps me out a lot. It helps me understand, what I could do better or just what's going well so other people get an idea of what to check out and if it's going to help them too. So feel free to give us feedback however you can. Leave a review on the sites wherever you're listening to this stuff. I'm just trying to make it a point to give you guys actionable tools to find success in your life. And I love to know if it's working or not. So, fill me in. Give me those reviews. Let me know what's happening. And I want to know what's working and what's not, because that's also going to help me give you guys more effective tools. I got a lot of stuff I'm aware of, and we can take a lot of time going through all of them, but I want to give you guys the stuff that works. I don't want to just take your time talking about things that might work. So if you have things that are working better for you and you're seeing that, let me know and we can get into more of that stuff. And I just love staying connected with you all too. Feel free to ask questions and let me know what's going on in your life and just kind of fill me in. I'd love to connect however I can with you guys and just be a part of the journey. I just want to be a guide to help you guys out. So if you do have anything you want to let me know about, reach out. You can reach out in my email, tmailer@premierperformancereno.com. My last name is spelled Mahler. You can text or call at 775-561-0056. We got the Instagram, premier_performance_Reno, where we post a lot of these clips, and we can also be reached. And then we got the Facebook and the LinkedIn page, Premier Performance LLC. Feel free to follow them, check them out. We're going to see a lot of these videos as well, a lot of different things that I'm talking about on there, and just kind of starting to create more communities around this stuff to find support from other people that are also going through similar things. Sometimes we just need someone there to be with us, whether that's me or that's someone else, or maybe it's just us increasing our understanding of ourselves and just helping ourselves be there for ourselves. That can really help in a lot of ways too. So don't be afraid to get into all this stuff. I'd love to see how it helps out. And, to kind of finish things up, I want to give you guys one last, resource to get into. We talked about it briefly in the past, in past episodes, but it's this book called How Emotions Are Made, The Secret Life of the Brain by Lisa Feldman Barrett. She's a neuroscientist that really focuses on what the brain is doing to create these emotions and why they're there and how it's created in the first place. And it's pretty interesting in a lot of ways to just see how it's working, but it also gives a lot of really cool insight into the idea of these things being really contextual to us in our situations, and they're not like a universal thing, which is why, again, it's about you understanding yourself and what you're feeling. And if we don't understand those things, it's going to make things really tough. So if you do want to dive deeper into this, feel free to explore that. It's a great book. It's very helpful in a lot of ways to understand how emotions are playing out in our life. Outside of that, next week we're going to get back into things with depression and also normalizing mental health a little bit, because there's a lot of physical health work out there, which is awesome and amazing, and we need that. But there's a lot of lacking of that mental health, and a lot of people are scared to get into the arena because they feel like it means something's broken or wrong with them, and they don't want to admit it or they don't want to accept it or whatever it is. But it's just a thing, just like anything else. And if we disregard it, if we don't take care of it, it's going to cause more and more problems for us. So we'll get deeper into all that stuff next week. I'm excited to keep going with it all. It's been great so far being a part of this journey with you all. If you need anything at all, let me know. Reach out. Don't be afraid. Even if you reach out anonymously, I want to help out however I can. That's the main goal of this stuff. So do what you can. Be the best you can be. Reach for those top heights and, put yourself in a spot that feels a little uncomfortable. You might reach some areas you never thought you could if you just push yourself a little bit. Optimize that performance. Create that premier mindset. And I can't wait to keep going with you guys next week. I hope you have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you soon.